The year is 1942. A man is standing in front of thousands of sick people. People with cancer. People with infections. People the hospital had already given up on. And he is healing them. With plants. Cheap, simple, ordinary plants that grew in fields across America. And the results were so powerful, so undeniable, that the United States government sent armed officers to shut him down. They arrested him more than 100 times. They destroyed his clinics. They burned his formula. Or so they thought. Because that formula survived. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly what was in it. Stay with me. Because this is not a theory. This is not a rumor. This is real documented history that they hoped you would never find. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. His name was Harry Hoxsey. And by the 1950s, he was running the largest privately owned cancer treatment network in the entire United States. 17 clinics. Across 17 states. Tens of thousands of patients. Many of them people who had been told by their doctors, "Go home. There's nothing more we can do." And some of them got better. Now, I am not making a medical claim here. I want to be very clear about that. But what I am saying is this. The plants in Harry Hoxsey's formula were real. They have been studied by real scientists. And some of them have real, documented effects on the human body that are only now being taken seriously. And the story of why this formula was buried, that story is 100% true. Comment below right now. Have you ever heard the name Harry Hoxsey before? Type yes or no. I genuinely want to know. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. Let me take you back to 1840. A farmer in Illinois named John Hoxsey noticed something strange in his field. One of his horses, a horse that had a large cancerous growth on its leg, had stopped eating its normal food. Instead, every day, the horse was walking to a far corner of the field and eating specific plants. Only those plants. Over and over again. Weeks passed. The farmer watched. And slowly, the cancerous growth on the horse's leg began to shrink. John Hoxsey collected every plant that horse had been eating. He studied them. He mixed them. He created a formula. And he passed it down, from father to son, for 3 generations. Until it reached his great-grandson, Harry Hoxsey. Harry was not a doctor. He had no medical degree. He was a coal miner from Illinois. But he had his great-grandfather's formula, and he believed in it completely. He opened his first clinic in 1924. Word spread fast. By the 1930s, people were traveling from all over America to see him. People with conditions that mainstream medicine could not help. And Harry Hoxsey was treating them. With plants. With a formula that had been in his family for 90 years. The American Medical Association came calling. They wanted to buy the formula. Harry said no. He said he would only hand over the formula if he could make sure poor people could access it cheaply. And the AMA would not agree to that. That was the beginning of the war. For the next 30 years, the FDA, the AMA, and the medical establishment launched the most aggressive campaign against any natural healer in American history. They called him a fraud, a quack, a criminal. They raided his clinics. They arrested him. Over 100 times. One judge, after reviewing the evidence, called Harry Hoxsey the victim of the greatest conspiracy in the history of organized medicine. By 1960, they had finally succeeded. Every Hoxsey clinic in America was forced to close. Harry Hoxsey moved his main clinic to Mexico, where it still operates to this day. And the formula, the plants, the simple cheap herbs that started everything, they were buried. Until now. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. So what was actually in the Hoxsey formula? These were not exotic plants from faraway countries. These were common herbs. Plants that grow wild across America and Europe. Plants that any herbalist knows. Let me walk you through the main ones. Red clover. This is one of the most studied plants in the formula. Red clover contains compounds called isoflavones. Scientists have found these compounds have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. Some studies suggest they may help reduce certain hormone-related health risks. It grows wild in fields everywhere. Burdock root. Used in traditional medicine across Japan, China, and Europe for centuries. Modern research has shown burdock root contains powerful antioxidants and may help reduce inflammation in the body. It is also known as a natural blood cleanser that supports liver function. Licorice root. Not the sweet candy. The actual root. Used for over 4,000 years in Chinese, Egyptian, and Greek medicine. Studies have shown it has anti-inflammatory, antiviral, and gut-healing properties. It was used by ancient Egyptians to clean the blood and strengthen the body. Barberry contains a compound called berberine, one of the most studied natural compounds in the world right now. Berberine has been shown in clinical studies to help lower blood sugar, fight infection, and reduce inflammation. These are the plants at the heart of the Hoxie formula. None of them are dangerous. None of them are exotic. None of them are hard to find. So the question is, why was this man arrested over 100 times for using them? And why did it take decades of legal warfare to shut down clinics that were helping people? You decide what that means. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. Here's the part of this story that I want you to sit with for a moment. In the 1950s, the same decade the FDA was raiding Harry Hox's clinics, the American Cancer Society was collecting hundreds of millions of dollars in donations. Research funding was exploding. Pharmaceutical companies were racing to develop the first chemotherapy drugs. A huge industry was being built around cancer treatment. And in the middle of all that, there was a man with no medical degree, using cheap plants, treating tens of thousands of patients. Now, I am not telling you the Hoxie formula cures cancer. I want to be very clear. The science on that is not settled. But I am telling you this. Several of the compounds in that formula are now being actively studied by serious scientists at serious universities for their effects on human health. Berberine from barberry is now one of the most researched natural compounds in the world. Red clover isoflavones are being studied in clinical trials right now. These are real plants with real biological effects on the human body. And the man who built his life around them, who came from a poor family, who refused to sell the formula unless poor people could afford it. He died in obscurity. His name was erased from history. Does that sit right with you? Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. Now, the most important part. You do not need a clinic. You do not need a prescription. You do not need to travel to Mexico. Each of the main Hoxie plants is available today. Easily. Cheaply. Let me give you simple ways to use the most powerful ones. Red clover tea. Dried red clover flowers are available in health stores and online. 1 teaspoon in hot water. Steep for 10 minutes. Drink 1 cup per day. Known for hormone balance, antioxidant support, and anti-inflammation. Burdock root tea. Slice fresh burdock root or use dried root. Simmer in water for 20 minutes. Strain and drink. 1 cup per day is the traditional amount. Supports liver health and blood cleansing, which affects everything from skin to energy to digestion. Berberine supplement from barberry. Berberine is now widely available as a standalone supplement. Studies use doses of 500 milligrams taken before meals, but always start low and see how your body responds. It is one of the few natural compounds that has been compared directly to metformin for blood sugar control in clinical research. Licorice root tea. 1 cup of licorice root tea per day for digestive support and anti-inflammation. Important, do not use licorice root if you have high blood pressure. It can raise blood pressure in some people. Always check with your doctor first if you are on medication. These plants are not magic. They are not a guaranteed cure for anything, but they are real. The science on them is real, and the history of how they were used and why that history was buried, that is also very real. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. Before I finish, I want to ask you something important, and I want as many people as possible to answer this. Go to the comments right now and tell me. Type "never heard of him" if Harry Hox's name was completely new to you today. Type "this is wrong" if this story makes you angry, because it should. Type "I want more" if you want me to go deeper into the plants of the Hoxie formula in a future video. And type "share" if you are going to send this to someone who needs to hear it. Because here is the truth. Every person who learns this story is one more person who cannot be kept in the dark. And the more of us who know, the harder it becomes for this kind of history to stay buried. This is Forbidden Herbs, and we are just getting started. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. Harry Hoxie died in 1974. He never stopped believing in his formula. He never stopped believing that nature had answers that the system was not willing to accept. And today, almost 80 years after they first tried to silence him. Scientists are studying the exact plants he used, and some of those plants are proving him right. He may not have been a doctor, but he was not wrong. Remember his name, and share this video with one person today who deserves to know this story. Subscribe to Forbidden Herbs. Turn on the bell, because in my next video, I'm going to show you a plant that ancient Egyptians used to heal wounds that doctors could not close, and that modern hospitals have quietly started using again, 3,000 years later. I will see you there. Take care of yourself, and keep asking questions.